We are live. Okay, three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 145 of the Security Podcast on the In30 Network. I'm Chaim. Tom's over there, and we just got a lot of questions about what is Congress doing? What did they do? And what VPN should I use? And we want to tell everyone just slow down. Just you need to think about what you're doing, and we're going to try. We have 30 minutes. We're going to try to walk you through this so you come out with no questions, and there's no fake news or alternative facts except for ours.
We have the best alternative facts. No one's got better alternative facts than the In30 network.
Well, I mean,
believe us.
Yes. Well, I don't want to say that we're not factual, but there's been a lot of what we call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and death about what did Congress do. And I'm on the mindset that they didn't really do much except, rip out your privacy regulations, but I'm going to say that you didn't have any to begin with. So first off, in October of 2016, Congress passed a law that says that ISPs cannot sell your data. The problem is this was not going to go into effect until the end of 2017. So ISPs were at this point trying to figure out what to do, how to strip data, how not to do it, not to do anything. And then the new administration comes along and they say, oh, that crippling, and I want to use the word crippling regulation is hurting small business ISPs, and we have to roll it back so they can bring back American jobs. So they just rolled back a regulation that wasn't even enforceable yet. So they were still selling your data 6 months ago, and in 6 months they'll be selling your data again. I think I got that right. Let me ask Tom.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Basically, the privacy regulations weren't even in effect yet, and this just makes it so they won't ever be in effect. ISPs are jealous of Facebook, Google, Twitter, all these people for harvesting all of your data all across the internet and selling it to advertisers in bulk. ISPs want to get on this train and get a bunch of data because they've got a bunch of data because you route all of your internet traffic through them and sell it off to the highest bidder for targeted advertisements. They're jealous of that sweet, sweet Silicon Valley money, and they want to jump on that train as fast as possible.
Let me ask you this, Tom, do you like targeted advertisements? I mean, honestly, I sort of do. When I'm on Facebook and I see an ad for something I may have interest in, so I don't get any like when you're home sick and watch The Price is Right at 11 a.m. and you see things that don't affect you. I kind of like seeing things that sort of have my interest.
To be honest, I haven't seen advertisements on the web in a very long time. Thank you, uBlock Origin. You are a saint and a forever companion on my internet browsing experience. But when I have seen targeted ads, they range from anywhere from, I might look at that, like stuff like Splunk, Linux sysadmin utilities, to weird dating websites, and I'm already married. I'm just like, where I'm married. Where is this coming from? So it's not any more relevant to me than any other advertisement. The only ad that's actually worked is when I saw a Taco Bell commercial right when they were releasing the Doritos Locos Taco, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to have that right now. And I went to Taco Bell immediately because it's Doritos plus tacos. There's nothing better in life.
I mean, it's for me, if I'm in I try not to, so let's start there. I use uBlock Origin like everyone else does, but if a site asks nicely and they don't bombard me with ads, I tend to let the ads go through. And sometimes I get targeted at. Basically, if I search something on Amazon or Google for the next week or so, I'm going to get those ads. The problem is, and they're so bad at this, is if I bought it, there's no way to say, okay, I already got this. You don't need to keep on selling it to me. I already got it. You win. But I like these indie ads from companies that are trying to make it on the internet. And if I see something for a nice bag or a nice keychain or whatever else, some Kickstarter campaign, probably I'll at least look at it and say, this may be relevant. But I don't know. At the end of the day, like you said, the targeted ads are there, but they're not really that great yet. But with that said, this is Google, this is Amazon, this is Facebook, Instagram. These are the web properties. These are not the ISPs selling you data yet. Am I right?
Right. Most of the targeted advertising you're seeing, and I'm going to say most because I'm sure there's an outlier here and there, it comes from Google ads or Facebook ads or Twitter suggested tweets. stuff like that, where the big web properties that already have your data are selling this targeted advertisements against those profiles.
So, so with the ISPs doing, they're just going to sell it to a marketer. I mean, they're not going to. So, I mean, right? They're not selling it to anybody other than the marketer, and the marketer is going to. I don't know. Is Google buying this? Is Google buying this as a data point?
We don't know yet. I don't see Google buying this, but Google buys a lot of data. They have a lot of data. They generate a ton of data. I mean, Chrome is basically a big data gatherer for them, and that's not really a secret. People know this already, but we don't know how this is going to look. Right? We don't know if they're just going to sell this off to marketers or sell this off to, hey, you're selling purple widgets? Well, we've got the great purple widget demographic data pack that you can buy right now. We don't know how this is going to look, right? Google could say, hey, Time Warner Cable or Spectrum now, I guess, we would like all of your data right here for this demographic of people. And they say, okay, it's going to be $9.95 per user. And they sell it. It could manifest itself in a lot of different ways. If the ISP wanted to, they could say, hey, do you want 18 to 35-year-olds in Dayton, Ohio? It's this price. Go ahead and buy it through our online portal, and we'll give you a zip file. It could be anything at this point.
Now, can we assume, I mean, I think we can assume that it's anonymized data. So we're not being able. I don't think you're going to get everybody 18 to all white males 18 to 35. I don't think they're not going to be able to pinpoint you out of that. That's what I'm nervous about.
I would really hope it's anonymized, but then again, it's up to the ISP. It's up to their data retention policies. There's a lot of different variables there, and it could be on a case-by-case basis, right? You could get the anonymized data set for $9.95, but if you wanted to pay $99.95, you could get the non-anonymized data sets, and that probably goes against some regulation somewhere, some internal company policy, but the fact is it's pretty nebulous, right? That's why it's so concerning to people, because we don't know if it's just going to be anonymized data sources. We don't know if they're going to say, hey, Tom Webster really likes his Linux servers. Sell him Linux socks. I'd probably buy them. If you're an advertiser listening to this, throw me ads for Linux socks. I need some really comfy winter socks.
Well, you're assuming they're comfy and they're not open source. We have to sew them together.
That's true. That's true.
Compile from source.
They send you the threads and a couple needles, and they say, hey, you can compile it yourself. You can verify the integrity of your open source socks. So I would totally buy those.
Well, so with the scare tactic, okay, so we have this. And when I was doing some digging before the show, the one thing that we're talking about internet traffic. The one thing we're not talking about are the TV shows you watch. One of the things that everyone's going after TiVo for is the treasure trove of watching data that's there. You should be worried about this. They have your cable box that's inside your house. They transmit all that data back. So we're just talking about the internet websites you visit, but what about now the things you watch on TV? That also has a lot. That can also say a lot about you.
Well, for all cable boxes, you can basically assume that data is being tracked and ingested in some way for the ISPs, for the content producers, right? It's how AMC can say, hey, Breaking Bad is the most popular show on television, because they get those metrics back. They're not just looking on Twitter and going, wow, people really like Breaking Bad for some reason. They actually know how many people roughly are watching that show.
I just want to know when we can get rid of Nielsen and just use the cable box data.
That's already there for the vast majority of content.
So, because I know TiVo has it and everything else. But anyway, so now everyone's saying, what do we do? What do we do? And the answer is, every journalist in the last week, everyone said you must use a VPN. And the answer is, it depends. Yes versus no. Yes, you can use a VPN. No, you can't. But I think there's a lot of easier ways before we get in the VPN bandwagon, things you should start doing before you go straight to the VPN source. And I think that's more important to talk about than which VPN to use.
So let's talk about what your ISP can see and what they can't see. If you're browsing an HTTP site, not HTTPS, the HTTP without the S, they can see everything. More importantly than that, they can control everything. There are plenty of examples of ISPs. Comcast got blasted over this one several times. I know Verizon has once or twice, where they would actually inject advertisements or notices into HTTP pages that they were selling themselves. That's a huge deal, because there could be a totally innocent website without any advertising on it that now gets ads injected by your ISP. That's a really shady practice for a whole host of reasons. But if it's HTTP, know that they can see and or change anything on that page.
So one of the first things we've always said, and we've been a big proponent of this, is Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt is giving all these small-time websites and big-time websites the ability to go HTTPS all across. And as their last count, it's basically 50% of the internet has been, I guess we want to call it encrypted, or at least serving encrypted websites. I mean, I know In30, unfortunately, is not there, but we're looking into it. I think it's a laziness thing because we're not serving anything of any importance. But both our personal websites are. If you're watching this on YouTube, that is, we're working on trying to get In30 as HTTPS, but Facebook is HTTPS. Most of the websites you see, and if they're not, you know what? Shoot them an email and say, look, Let's Encrypt is not that hard to do. Can you see if you can do this? If they say no, there's probably a reason. They're serving content from years ago. The Wired had a good article on what it took for them to become HTTPS compliant, and it wasn't simple, but they are, because they see the importance of it. And the good thing is when you see HTTPS, they just know that you're on this website, you're on YouTube. They have no idea what you're doing on it, which will help in making your traffic a little bit safer and anonymized.
Right. If you're on an HTTPS site, what they can see is okay, you went to this server, you went to this IP address, even the domain name that you typed in to go there, but they can't see anything beyond the domain name, right? They can't see everything in the URL bar. So if you're we're on hangouts.google.com/hangout/ a bunch of random noise right now doing this show live. My ISP could see hangouts.google.com, but nothing beyond that, nothing after that. So you could be on Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is HTTPS, and they can just say, all right, you went to en.wikipedia.org. They can't see what articles you're looking at. They can't see what information you're browsing, but they can see you're on Wikipedia. And let's talk about DNS a little bit. If you type in anything into your browser, it's got to do a DNS request if it's not cached already. Those DNS requests go through the ISP. Even if you're using a different DNS server, it still has to flow through the ISP. And it's really easy and really quick for them to just grab that traffic and log it. So they can see all of your DNS requests going out too.
Can you verify this? I think when what was it that went down? Dyn DNS a few months ago. Then when they took like Twitter and Slack with them, HTTPS only goes based on DNS requests. You cannot get HTTPS from a direct IP.
No, you can get HTTPS through a direct IP. It all depends on the web server's configuration, though. For my sites on my server, because I've got lots of different sites hosted on one server. I know it's bad. I should probably change that. But I've got lots of different sites hosted on one server, and I'm using HTTPS for all of them. So yeah, you have to have DNS. If you type in an IP address, you're going to get a weird, funky error from my web server because it's just not expecting that kind of request. But you can do it.
I mean, is having an alternative DNS worth it? Probably not.
I use an alternative DNS server. I use OpenDNS myself, just because Time Warner or now Spectrum's DNS servers are really, really awful as far as uptime goes. They'll go down. They'll take out half of Time Warner, and the people on Google DNS or OpenDNS or any other DNS servers are sitting back. They're like, yeah, it's not really an ISP outage. Their DNS servers just went down, and that happens all the time. I know Comcast has happened. Just about every ISP has had DNS servers fall out. So having an alternative is a good thing.
I'm trying to think of the other thing. So we said then the next thing is the ads. So you block Origin and any sort of do not track enabled extension. Our favorite is you block Origin, because they're blocking the tracking cookies. On the plus side, you also get reduced ads or no ads. However, just be aware that you are not supporting the companies you do visit when you use uBlock Origin. So use uBlock Origin appropriately.
And keep in mind, just because the tracking cookies and some tracking JavaScript is blocked doesn't mean that you're invisible to the site. The way old school tracking, before everything was JavaScript, before everything had cookies associated with it, the old school tracking was, collecting it off of your server logs, because the server still has to hand you a web page. Right now, if you go to my blog has got an access log for Apache, and it says, okay, this IP address asks for this URL, and technically that's tracking. I'm not selling that data. I'm not analyzing that data, but I am collecting that data because it's part of the default Apache package. I guess I could turn it off, but I don't. Sometimes it's helpful. So even if you've got all this stuff turned off, you're browsing without JavaScript, you've got cookies turned off, you're even through Tor, they can still see an IP address, and through Tor, it's not going to be your IP address. They can see this IP address accessed this page. So you're not completely anonymized or completely evading tracking, even with uBlock or browsing without JavaScript.
And I just want to end, and you touched on this before we get into what a VPN is and how it works, is each of your ISPs has a privacy policy that you have to abide by, and they will abide by. And one of the articles in the show notes was that Comcast has one that says that they don't have any intention of selling your data. So Comcast already out there says that. They may change it, but right now there are privacy policies on the books that say what the ISPs that they wrote can sell and cannot sell. So be aware of that. So look for, if your ISP is not doing what you want, look for another one. And I know it's hard, and they figured it out that Ajit Pai, the head of the FCC, has like 6 different ISPs in his area that he can choose from, where the majority of us have one and our cell phone provider.
I would absolutely love it if the cell phone carrier said, hey, yeah, we're going to start competing with wireline broadband services, and you get this brick, and that's your router. It operates on our towers, and it's unlimited data, but you pay $100 a month for it. I mean, I'd sign up for that. This T-Mobile connection that I've got is more reliable than the Time Warner connection ever has been.
So I mean, just anyway, be aware of that. And so that takes us now into what a VPN is and what we should do with it.
A VPN is a magical spell. It's an incantation. If you just install any app with the letters VPN in them, you're automatically protected from everything forever. Right? Did I get that right?
Of course.
Okay.
It's this 3-letter word with all caps that journalists are using that says this is the best security thing. And if nobody knows better, then obviously it's true. The internet said it was true. And it wasn't on April 1st. I did check.
Yeah, see? So you're totally safe as long as it has capital letters in it. Also, make sure it's got a picture of a lock somewhere in the logo.
So, yeah. So VPN is just virtual private network, and it's just an encrypted tunnel from point A to point B. So basically, you're using a different computer located somewhere else to get you the information that you're asking for. And if you're at work, most companies have this for you. You must use log me in, or you must use this token, or they put something on your computer that you have to enable. And what they're saying is, we don't trust you or the coffee house that you're at. Connect to our servers and come through our internet so we can make sure the traffic is managed and everything else. That's basically what it is. And the good part is that it's secure, and it takes out a lot of blocks. The problem is that where do you end up at could be some problems for region sharing and different things. You're all of a sudden going to get the Canadian Google if you leave out of Canada.
Yeah. So what VPNs do in most configurations, not all configurations, is they create an encrypted tunnel between you and a remote server somewhere out there. Most VPN companies give you a long list of servers, like tons of servers in tons of different countries, and you can just pick which one you want to end up at, and that's where your traffic is going to flow. Now, it's not perfect, and just because you get a company that says, oh, hey, we're a VPN provider, doesn't mean you're going to be automatically safe. There's a couple things you have to look for. Some VPN providers, relatively few of the big ones that I've seen, but some of them, and they have been accused and shot down because of this, will actually use no cipher, just a null cipher. We're not encrypting anything in this tunnel. which means your ISP or whoever else is in the middle can see everything that's going through that VPN. You don't want one of those. You want to look for AES for the encryption stream, and they've usually got that somewhere in their technical specs. If you want to join our WhatsApp group and fire over a VPN company website for us to look at and sort of give some cursory vetting to, we would be happy to. So join the WhatsApp group. We'll help you out.
And one of the things on the WhatsApp group is people are afraid that you have to ask questions or whatever. You can lurk there. We'd rather you talk, but there's no dumb questions in there. Just don't sell us stuff because we don't like that.
Yeah, no, we had some spammers. They got banned.
So yeah, you're welcome to join. Don't feel that you have to join. Don't feel, but yes, people are in fact using it. They're liking it, and they're giving us props. Who knew we were popular in Italy?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So
with the VPN tunnel, there's a couple things that will happen to your connection. You will become, depending on the VPN endpoint you end up at, you could become a leper on the internet. Everyone could avoid you. They could hate you. You could be banned from various services. For one VPN provider I use, for most of them, Netflix and Hulu just refuse to function. Some VPN providers will actively fight and try to evade Netflix's blocks, but just know that Netflix is probably not going to work if you go for one of the big VPN providers. Know that the VPN provider, you should be looking at someone who claims to have a no logging policy, where you aren't logged. Because if you are logged in, like, let's say you pirate a movie or something, and the feds come and they say, hey, this IP address, you guys own it, who pirated this movie, and then they can turn around and blame it on you. You don't want that. A no logging policy is a good thing. It also helps if they're based outside the US. Now, we've got a couple websites here that you can look at for VPN providers that give some good information. Our go-to is always privacytools.io. They've got a big list of VPN providers. It's got prices. They're all based outside the US, so they're outside of that jurisdiction. So check that out. I use NordVPN personally. I've got no complaints with them. Everything's pretty fast.
can you use Netflix with them?
Some servers for some amount of hours before Netflix catches on and blocks them again. For my household, I've got the router doing all the VPN stuff for me. So anytime I'm at home on my own network, everything is VPN'd unless I add it to the exception list. The Roku and a certain like Netflix streaming-based computer that I've got, those are exempted from the VPN. Everything else goes through it. So on my system right now, I can't use Netflix, which is kind of annoying.
Well, look, here's the more annoying thing, and my work blocked a lot of websites, and we turned on the VPN, we turned off the VPN. It's hard to manage. It really is. If you can put it, if you're capable enough of having a WRT type router or an OpenSense or PFSense router, you can do this on. But most people don't. They have the box that comes with their cable provider, and that probably doesn't have the functionality to do a router system. Then you could do it on each individual device, but you have to remember to turn it on. And then when you turn it on, you have to remember that you're not coming out of the country you want. I mean, unless you choose the US, but at that point, what's the difference? And then if you have it on the whole house and your wife or your kids want to do something, you have to constantly remember to be either adding it to the exception list or turning it off or doing all this other stuff. This is not a simple idea. It's a complete mindset change. And if you're at that level, then all these other security things you should be already doing so that this has become second nature.
Yeah, managing a VPN it's not trivial. At least once a month, people in my household will come to me and say, hey, such and such doesn't work. This is now saying I'm banned. And I either have to change my endpoint, which I have to do from time to time anyway, because the servers get overloaded and you've got to find a new one on Nord that doesn't have so many people on it, because Nord is gaining in popularity, especially with these recent stories hitting. I've had to change my endpoint twice now because the servers just got flooded with new users. But you've got to manage an exceptions list. You've got to turn it on and off for certain devices. It's not trivial. Now, that said, I think the most important thing when it comes to picking a VPN provider, pick a paid VPN provider. Please please, 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 if you go to the Android App Store and you get something called free VPN, they are taking your data. They are injecting ads into it. They are snarfing your data. They're stealing whatever they can that's not over HTTPS. You are the product at that point. You are giving your soul and your internet traffic to probably bad people. Not every free VPN provider is evil, but at least if you're paying them, you know what the transaction is, right? I give NordVPN X amount of dollars per year so I can route my traffic through them, and they let me use their servers. That's the transaction. With a free VPN, it's kind of nebulous. You don't know how they're making their money, how they're staying in business, and what you're giving up in return. So please do not use any free VPNs. It's just not a good idea.
The other issue is, so then Opera is now touting, we have a VPN. No. Opera does not have a VPN. Opera has a proxy. What you're doing is you're routing their traffic through Opera, which again, the weakest link is the endpoint. So if a government request goes to that person and goes to Opera and says, give us the data, the answer is it's already gone. So just remember, who do you trust more? The VPN provider that's just some pretty website, or Comcast, or what else is? I mean, those are your choices. And to be honest, I probably trust Comcast a little bit better than free VPN whatever.
Yeah, completely agree. That said, one thing we do have to state is, depending on your VPN, look at the terms of service. I know everyone hates the terms of service, but check it out. Check out what they allow. Because some VPN providers say, yeah, pirating stuff, torrenting stuff all day long, that's cool. Some of them say, torrent stuff all you want, but only on like these 6 servers that we've got segmented for torrenting, so you don't hurt all of our other users. Some VPN providers say absolutely no pirating anything. We will catch you and hurt you, or cancel your service. For that kind of stuff, a VPN is fine. You're not going to, endanger your life too much. But if you're going to send someone an animated GIF on Twitter to induce an epileptic seizure, do not use a VPN. If you're doing stuff that's seriously illegal or seriously secure or like Snowden-esque level stuff, a VPN will not save you at all. Do not rely on this to be your ultimate security. Use this as just something extra that you throw into the mix of your already secure lifestyle. A VPN is not going to protect you if you make a bomb threat somewhere. And it shouldn't, frankly.
And then people start talking about, should we use Tor? If you want to do something, if you're just trying to hide traffic for a short period of time, you need something quick, should they use Tor? And I've told people, yes, Tor will do it, but it's a different service. So you can't use Tor all the time. You can use Tor so you need to check out something right now and you want to be a little more private. Yeah, go use Tor. It's a 5-minute download. You're installed. You're done. But you shouldn't be using Tor for everything. It's just too slow.
Right. It's too slow. It's pretty unpredictable as far as the level of service you're getting. You could end up on a bad endpoint and have stuff injected into HTTP sites. I've actually ended up on an endpoint where they tried to present their own SSL certificates, trying to man-in-the-middle SSL connections. I was like, yeah, I'm going to find a new Tor endpoint. I refreshed my connection, and then everything was fine again. But Tor is more of a point-in-time service than a VPN, which is designed to be, constant. One other benefit that's not at all security-related is if you're using T-Mobile, and they like to throttle YouTube and Netflix down to a really bad size unless you go through their stupid website and request an exemption that day or something like that. You can use a VPN to hide that traffic, and it just flows freely because they don't see the host name. They don't see the connection. They just see, okay, it's data going to a server somewhere. Other than that, they don't know. So they don't throttle it, which is wonderful.
So I have 2 more quick things. I have an idea and I have a question from a listener that posted last week. So my idea is, can Google find a way to redirect everything through them? Not to hide anything, but let's say you go through a Google search, you search for something. They know you're on encrypted.google.com. You click a link that takes you, I don't know, to to, I don't know, the Brooks Brothers website. I'm just making that up. Can Google proxy all that for you so you stay on the Google SSL site?
Technically, yes. SSL makes that a little harder. You do have to trust Google's certificate in lieu of everything else. So yeah, they could do it because they own the whole stack, right? They own your operating system. You're getting cert updates through them. You're using Chrome. You're going through a Google search. It is possible. Could they be found out if they did that? Oh, absolutely. People would find out very quickly if they did that. Because
well, I'm not saying maliciously. I'm just talking about if you're trying to do something. I mean, like I said, you just want to go to a website. You don't want people to know. Can Google, let's say, provide a service that not a Google VPN service, but will just iframe your traffic so it looks like you're on Google servers?
If you use the Google cache, that's exactly what's happening.
So there's the one thing. We got a question from somebody last week. Is TrueCrypt, not the last one, but the one before the last, still a good choice?
No.
Oh, no. Oops.
It's not a bad choice. It's just not the best choice. The best choice right now, if you Google VeraCrypt, that's kind of the offshoot fork of the TrueCrypt project that lots of time, energy, money, audits have been put into. I actually just downloaded it today. Check out VeraCrypt. It's basically the same as TrueCrypt, just a little better. They made some better encryption choices, kind of updated stuff, fixed some bugs, updated some documentation. There's nothing groundbreaking about VeraCrypt. It's just the latest and greatest version of TrueCrypt. So go check that out.
What I told the person, I'm going to edit it now, said if you're on TrueCrypt and you don't want to migrate, you're okay. But if you're starting from scratch, start with the new version.
Yes, I would say that's fine. You can migrate using VeraCrypt, but you don't have to. So and anyway. VeraCrypt will open up all TrueCrypt stuff anyway. They've got a little checkbox for TrueCrypt mode.
So anyway, that's our show. We're a little over, but hopefully you found something there. Again, we put a lot of links in the show notes that I actually did have, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Next week's a little crazy, like last week and this week were, but we're still here. We're still coming to you. You can join the WhatsApp group. Just mention us. We'll get you in. Anyway, have a good day, everybody.
See you, everyone.
Bye.